TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid and U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hold a meeting in Rome to discuss regional challenges, among others. The United States Air Force conducts aerial strikes against Iranian-backed proxies in both Syria and Iraq. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett reaffirms the importance of Israel's peace agreement with Egypt during a phone conversation with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Israel and the United States may have occasional disagreements about how to tackle withstanding threats and challenges. However, these differences are not about the essence, but rather about how to achieve the objective. In a first face-to-face meeting between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid in Rome, since the latter assumed office, Jerusalem's top diplomats seized the opportunity to convey Israel's reservations over Washington's handling of the Iranian nuclear file, amid reports of progress being made in the indirect negotiations with Tehran taking place in the Austrian capital, Vienna.
We will have disagreements, but they are not about the essence, they are all about how to get there. We want the same things, we sometimes disagree about how to achieve them. Israel has some serious reservations about the Iran nuclear deal that is being put together in Vienna. We believe the way to discuss those disagreements is through direct and professional conversation, not in press conferences.
The reason Minister Lapid highlighted Israel's intention to resolve its disagreements with the United States behind closed doors was made after former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu repeatedly asserted his intention to publicly confront the Biden administration's vocal aspirations to revive the 2015 nuclear agreement with Iran, a point of contention that saw public polls in the United States weaken bipartisan support for the Jewish state, an issue of evident concern in Jerusalem.
Secretary Blinken and I represent new administrations. Yours a few months old, ours a few weeks old, almost a few days. But we also represent a very long and strong tradition of close friendship and cooperation. There is no relationship more important to Israel than the United States of America. There's no loyal friend to the United States of America than Israel. In the past few years, mistakes were made. Israel's bipartisan standing was hurt. We will fix those mistakes together. In the past few days, I spoke with a series of American leaders, both Democrats and Republicans. I reminded them all that we share America's most basic values: freedom, democracy, free markets, the constant search for peace. In the struggle for those values, Secretary Blinken is a great partner and a great friend. Like me, he grew up in the home of a Holocaust survivor who always said that the world has a responsibility to ensure Israel's peace and security.
Even though our administration is relatively new and his is extremely new, the foundation that we're working on is one of an enduring partnership, relationship, friendship between the United States and Israel. And it is based, as the Foreign Minister said, on a set of shared values and shared interests. And I very much look forward to working closely with you, with your team, across a whole series of issues.
The two top diplomats also deliberated Israel's regional standing, including vis-à-vis the Palestinian issue, that is regarded by the Biden administration as a key factor to expanding Israel's so-called circle of peace with Arab and Muslim-majority states in the region and beyond.
We have a number of things that the Foreign Minister has already noted that will be on our agenda. We have, of course, the situation in Gaza, where there's an urgent need both for humanitarian assistance and, more broadly, reconstruction. I know we'll talk about that. The work, I hope, that can be done to, as you say, offer a more hopeful future for everyone, Palestinians and Israelis alike, with equal measures of opportunity and dignity is very important from our perspective. You rightly noted our strong support for the normalization agreements, the Abraham Accords with Israel's neighbors and beyond. We strongly support this, and hopefully there'll be other participants. I think we've also discovered, or perhaps rediscovered, that as important as they are, as vital as they are not a substitute for engaging on the issues between Israelis and Palestinians that need to be resolved.
Secretary Blinken finally seized the opportunity to reaffirm the United States' commitment to Israel's security.
Beyond that, we have many things to talk about when it comes to the region and beyond, including Iran. I very much look forward to that. But let me finish where we both started. And you said it extremely well. We're as the closest of friends do, we will have occasional differences. We have the same objectives. Sometimes we differ on the tactics. And we, I think, are very clear and direct with each other when that's the case. And that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. But the foundation is a commitment, a deep, enduring, abiding commitment on the part of the United States to Israel's security, and a commitment that President Biden brought with him to office and feels very, very strongly about.
Following the meeting with Secretary Blinken, Minister Lapid held two subsequent meetings with Bahraini Foreign Minister Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani and Italian Foreign Minister Luigi Di Maio, respectively, before heading back to Israel. It is worth mentioning that yesterday evening's meetings were held prior to this morning's summit of the U.S.-led Global Coalition to Defeat the Islamic State, which was co-chaired by Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his Italian counterpart Luigi Di Maio. In related news, retaliating for repeated attacks by Iranian proxy militias against Iraqi military bases housing U.S.-led coalition forces over the past several weeks, the United States conducted aerial strikes against 3 separate targets on the Syrian-Iraqi border region of Al-Bukamal yesterday evening. Per a Pentagon statement, the targets were selected because these facilities are utilized by Iran-backed militias that are engaged in unmanned aerial vehicle attacks against U.S. personnel and facilities in Iraq, further noting that the strikes targeted operational and weapons storage facilities at 2 locations in Syria and 1 location in Iraq, both of which lie close to the border between the 2 countries. The Pentagon further acknowledged that several Iran-backed militia groups, including Kataib Hezbollah and Kataib Sayd al-Shuhada, used these facilities as a seeming reminder to the Islamic Republic of Iran's continued efforts to entrench militarily in Iraq and Syria, alongside other regional states that are faced with domestic turmoil. And while the United States is forced to deal with repeated attacks perpetrated by the Iranian-backed Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq, or PMF, the US-backed Iraqi central government is embracing it as its own. At the military parade marking 7 years since the PMF were formed to battle the Islamic State on Saturday, thousands of its ranks sought to project its power. Attending the event, Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi declared the PMF as a vital component to rebuild Iraq, yet also seized the stage to warn of internal sedition within the PMF without elaborating.
وقد ثبتوا أبناء الحج اليوم بهذا الاستعراض إنهم أبناء الوطن، أبناء العراق وأبناء الدولة، وهم يقدمون كل ما يستطيعون لخدمة العراق والمواطن. أذكر أبنائي في الحج الشعبي وكافة قواتنا المسلحة والأمنية إنكم دحرتم الإرهاب ودحرتم داعش وخوارج العصر، والطريق أمامنا طويل لمحاربة هذه الجماعات. معكم سوية نبني العراق، معكم سوية نفشل كل المؤامرات والمحاولات لصنع الفرقة والفتنة داخل هذا الجهاز.
Meanwhile, on Sunday, Iraqi Prime Minister al-Kadhimi hosted Jordanian King Abdullah II and Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi for a trilateral summit in Baghdad, during which he hailed the bolstering alliance between the three Arab nations. While working to deepen trilateral cooperation in a long list of civic sectors, including electrical interconnection, agriculture, transportation, and food security, the Iraqi premier also highlighted their intention to coordinate their actions on regional challenges, namely Syria, Libya, Yemen, and Palestine.
اتفقنا في السابق على مواصلة التنسيق في بعض الملفات الإقليمية الرئيسية كالملف السوري والليبي وكذلك اليمن وفلسطين. نبلور تصور مشترك تجاه هذه القضايا بالتعاون والتنسيق لكي نساعد إخواننا في هذه البلدان على عبور هذه التحديات.
A day after this meeting was held in Iraq, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi called Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett to congratulate him on assuming office. According to a statement communicated by the Israeli Prime Minister's media advisor, the two leaders discussed a broad range of bilateral, regional, and international issues, and also discussed the importance of advancing bilateral economic, commercial, and civil cooperation. Thank you for watching us. As part of TV7 Israel's prayer initiative, I would like to encourage you today to join the team and me here in Jerusalem to lift up Italy in prayer for its salvation and peace, alongside prayers for our persecuted brothers and sisters around the world, in addition to our ongoing prayers, of course, for the peace of Jerusalem and the salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shavuot Tov U'Mevorach, and we will see you again tomorrow at the same time.